Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Human Resource Machine. $9.99 comes out on the Steam store today. It is a puzzle game that tries to parallel some of the basic computer architecture and programming lessons you may learn at a university, for example. I learned a little bit of what this game tries to teach you at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, so this is an interesting game for me to look at. It is by the Tomorrow Corporation, which is responsible for games like Little Inferno as well as World of Goo. Before I do my official review of this game, I want to make sure you guys know this key was obtained from the developer for the purposes of review. That won't affect my opinions, but you guys should know that for the purposes of, FTC guidelines as well as the whole morals thing, But let's get right into it, because I want to show you exactly what the game has to offer, because I think it is an enjoyable teaching tool, and it has some good puzzle elements to it as well. So let's get right into it. So we're going to play a couple of pre-selected levels that I've taken a look at here, starting with Rainy Summer. As you complete every year in terms of the puzzles, you'll grow in the company, you'll have your hair start falling out at this point. The visuals are rather interesting. It is very Tomorrow Corporation-esque in terms of its aesthetic. Alright, so we're going to take a look, and you have a task for every year that you have in this corporation. For example, this year, for every 2 things in the inbox, I need to add them together and put the result in the outbox. And I get the add command for the first time. So, okay, as a programmer, this is pretty basic to me, but for people who don't know, they do teach you every command in the game. So they teach you what an inbox is. Inbox means I'm going to grab from the inbox. So that seems like the first good step. Grab that. This is the floor where I can copy things to. Now, obviously I can't hold 2 items at once, so I need to be able to copy items so that I can combine them later on. So I'm actually going to copy the item that I'm holding to 0. Then, I'm going to go back to the inbox and grab the second item. I'll discard the first, but the 1 is there. Now, the add program basically adds it to a specific box in question. So whatever I have in my hand, I add whatever box I'm telling it to. So, in this case, it's 0. Alright, and then, obviously I've done my job, so I'm going to put it in the outbox. Let's see what happens. Alright, puts it down, throws it away, grabs it, adds it, puts it in the outbox. Alright, that's what I need to do. Yep, exactly. That's not enough to just do the one task. You have to do it for everything. And so, what you need to do is use this command called jump. For those who are knowing of the assembly language, you'll probably recognize this. But jump back to the start to start the process over. I need to do it for everything on the conveyor belt. All right, now let's see what happens. Now, again, I like the aesthetic here. It's a goofy game. I mean, it's a little bit different, and for those who aren't looking for a challenge, this game is going to be weird to you because it's going to be completely out of your element. Those who want an understanding of programming, this is a good game to do it with. Because again, it tries to relate it to the average person, the person who may not know anything about programming or computers, but it puts it in a way that they understand, and at least in my view. Now, my view is skewed because, of course, I know programming. I studied it. I have a degree in it. So, yeah, a little bit. All right, so each challenge has, the challenge in question, okay? I did what I was asked. But there are 2 other extra challenges that are involved. Size and speed. Size means that I use the least amount of commands that I can do. And so, for example, in this solution, I used the least amount of commands I could with 6. Or the number of steps. Remember, I used that jump command, so even if I have 3 commands, I could be jumping repeatedly, so it's the number of steps it takes, 24. As it mentions there, some programs do better in speed, some do better in size, and sometimes the solution won't be able to be done with just one solution. You may have to do it multiple times. That's a process called optimization in programming, and it is something very vastly important, especially on very small systems like your iPhone. Well, it's a bigger system now. I'm thinking more things of like an embedded system that you may find, like the fare boxes that I worked on a long time ago for SPX Gen Fare. So fare boxes you see on a bus have a little processor in it in order to process that stuff. Not a big computer, but a little one. So let's continue the next one, shall we? Alright, we're going to do occupiers suit. This is an optional mission, but it's something that's interesting to look at nevertheless. For each thing in the inbox, multiply it by 8. Okay, simple enough. I just add it 8 times, right? Well, that's the thing. Optimization, remember that. It's not necessarily needed to do that. Well, what do I mean? Well, let's think about it. Multiplying something by 8. 8 is an interesting number because it can be divided by 2 several times, right? Well, wait a minute. What if I did something like this? All right, I'm going to hit the inbox, grab the number, I'm going to copy it to 0, and I'm going to add it to 0. So I got a number now. Then I'm going to copy that one to 1. So the number that I have, so if I do this program, it'll be 5 plus 5 equals 10, and I'm going to put 10 there. But what happens if I added that to 1 again? Okay, now I have 20, which is 5 times 4, right? All right. What if I did that one more time? All right. So then I got to, put that in the outbox and then jump. So let's see what happens. 5, 10, place the den, 20, 20, 40. Oh, 5 times 8. Interesting, isn't it? And you see, that's the brilliance of this game. That's a simple concept in programming, but it's something that you wouldn't have necessarily understood at a basic level without going through this process. And it does a very good job of combining the ideas of programming in terms of optimization for a layman's terms normal man to understand. I love it for that. And I also love the fact that it challenges you with the size and speed of the program in question. Makes you optimize, realize that, maybe the solution, there is a better solution for what you did. I used my best 9 commands and 36 steps. Fastest solution. Now, for those who notice that in terms of the solution there, you probably are wondering, does it give you any hints? Because that may be a problem for me. I may not be able to understand it. Unfortunately, there is no hint system. Minor detail. I feel like that will be a problem for some people. All right, let's look at a cutscene because there are some comical cutscenes here. These guys are just on coffee break.
My long distance telephone service.
And a little bit, a little bit creepy actually. Uh-oh. Looks like break is over.
To work, everyone.
Meanwhile, in the background, things aren't necessarily going pretty well. I mean, we got this person coming on the news program.
A massive army of machines has surrounded...
Massive army of machines. You probably should be paying attention to that.
They are not communicating. Local authorities are investigating.
That seems like something we should be paying attention to. It's a little bit of a I don't want to say satire of corporations, like you don't pay attention to what's going on around you, but it is a little bit interesting. Now, the feel and aesthetic is good. It's good in terms of introduction into basic concepts of the world. You also get things like this. So now they've introduced a bunch of things at this point, and it could get a little bit overwhelming. Again, like I said, there is no hint system. He'll give you examples of what he wants if you don't understand what the idea is. So for example, 2408, I'm supposed to take the first 2 things in the inbox, multiply them, and outbox the result. So 2 times 4 is 8, 0 times 8 is 0. Okay, that's a little bit more interesting. We've done multiplication of sorts, but not necessarily based on the number in question. So that's going to be a whole new concept. Now, we have labels. And labels will be interesting in terms of how you're going to do the solution, because it can tell you what your box is when you're constructing the solution. So for example, I could look at this and be like, okay, this is going to be the first number. I do wish keyboard controls were on this, but it's more of a drawing out, obviously, and my writing is horrible. So I really do wish that keyboard control support was there. Now, I'm not going to have you guys go through and look at me try to figure this out because I've already done it at this point. But luckily, there are multiple tabs here to show you exactly, if you try something different or you want to go back and try something completely different in terms of, okay, this isn't working. Maybe I need to start over. You can copy and paste over. And so I'm going to run this program for you in one different way. There's this debugger. And I use the term debugger because it's able to step you through your steps. So I can actually test out my program by going through it a step at a time to see what's exactly happening. So, okay. And I could actually see as it goes along what the state of my program is and what commands I'm looking at. So that is an interesting mechanic, and it's rather necessary in the program world. People who don't use debuggers, like some of my old colleagues at SPX Gen Fair, didn't understand what a debugger was, and it's vastly important to understand what is going on in the process more than anything else. So it's understanding, oh, hey, it's 6 now. Am I doing this right? Am I multiplying it the way that I think I am? Because right now, yes, I am, because I grabbed 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, cool. Simple enough. This is a fast forward button if you want to fast forward through your solution. Now, the game's puzzles are very hard at times. Especially if you don't understand the basic concepts that it's trying to teach you. It's not like it's, necessarily insanely difficult, but again, without a hint system, it can be a little bit problematic for people who have not experienced before. With that said, if you want a challenge and if you want to test your brain in terms of logical puzzles, I think this game does the job for you rather nicely. The only real complaint I have about it at this point is the fact that it may be considered short for people, and I'm going to actually fast forward this to show you exactly what's going on there, to show you all the levels in question. So, look at that guy go. He's racking through this. And even the solution that I have, being a programmer myself, I didn't optimize it for this case. So, to show you that I was able to get through it, 15 or fewer commands, and I used 17. And speed 109, I used 151. So there's obviously something I missed in terms of my optimization, so I can go back and actually fix that. Oops, didn't want to hit back. Now, the number of levels, 23, 24, 20, so you've got about, I want to say 40 to 45 at this point. Again, you do have the size and speed optimization. Now, this game is only $10, and I feel like if you want an introduction to the programming world, if you're unfamiliar with it, but you want a little bit of a challenge and maybe a good way of introducing it to you, this game does the job nicely, and I really feel like Tomorrow Corporation understood how to translate, because when it comes to computers and when it comes to this stuff, it can be really hard to sort of make it in layman's terms. And I feel like even though this is obviously has programming like syntax in the words in question here. These are commands that you would be executing. But I feel like it does it in a way and teaches you in a way that you can understand it as someone who doesn't even know, what the power button on the computer does, which I would hope that you do, considering that you are watching this video right now. I guess you could be watching on a mobile phone, but regardless. But yeah, it works, and I feel like it may not necessarily have a fun factor to it like other games, but it has a puzzle factor and a challenge factor that I think people will appreciate. I have to recommend this, guys. I really do. It's only $10. It is a good look into the world, and frankly, I've enjoyed my time with it. I've played about 2.5 hours, 3 hours at this point, and even though I've done this for a living, obviously not this, but something like this, I feel like, hey, this is still fun, even though, I did that for so many years. All right, this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you got an idea of the Tomorrow Corporation's human resource machine. And again, I will leave my review in Steam in the description below. If you like this video, share it with a friend or two. Hit that like button. It helps get the video seen by other people. Comment, see what you would like to see me do differently. I am going to be trying a lot of different stuff over the next month, and I've said that before. I feel like I'm starting to get a handle on myself, if that makes sense. And again, subscribe. I do want to make a living on this. I'm trying to, all my heart, blah, blah, blah. I know that sounded facetious, but no, I'm trying my hardest at this point. I don't want to get overly begging, but hey, I got to show myself a little bit. And I will see you all later. Have a good day. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this content and want to see more of it, you may want to hit that subscribe button on the left-hand side. If you like this video and want to see more of this content, take a look at this video on the left-hand side as well. And if you missed my last video, take a look at the right-hand side. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.